Game week 10 is going to be one of the most popular times in FPL to play your wildcard this season. So today I'm going to be taking you through 3 different drafts. One sort of basic draft, one with Kieran Trippier in, and one without Erling Haaland if you decide to sell the robot. What is up everyone, FPL Harry here. Welcome back to another video. Today I am taking you through some wildcard drafts for those of you deciding to play the chip or those of you not playing the chip and wanting to understand what people playing the chip will have when they decide to play it this week and what type of squads maybe we should be building towards if we're not on wildcard this week. Before we dive in, 1,000 likes on the video is always the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here. The road to 100k subscribers before the end of the season is well and truly on. Hopefully you can help me hit it. So we're going to dive in and we're going to start with this sort of basic draft. It doesn't have Kieran Trippier in and it does have Erling Haaland, and I think this team is so good. I built it and made a few tweaks to what I wildcarded to a few weeks ago, and I think it is so strong. In goal, we are still sticking with Areola and Turner. Turner is the one that you might want to change. If you have a little bit of money spare, you can go up to potentially go and get Leno. If you don't have enough money, you could downgrade him and just play a 3.9 because Areola is the keeper that you'll be playing pretty much for the most majority of game weeks. Areola and West Ham, I think, is a great option. 4.2 million, real budget friendly option that allows you to spend a lot of money elsewhere. The West Ham fixtures from game week 10, starting with Everton at home this week, do look really good. For me, he is pretty essential in any wildcard draft that you are building. I've gone with Turner next to him, but that can depend on the budget that you have. This team leaves me with a bit of budget left, but I know my team value is quite good, so I try to build drafts that leave a little bit of money in the bank in case your team value is a little bit lower. Going into defense, so this draft has a 5-man strong midfield that rotates really well together. There is no Kieran Trippier in it, but I think this 5-man defense rotating to their fixtures every week have the ability to match a draft that has Kieran Trippier in it and saves you about 1.5 million on that. So Matty Cash is in there. I still think with the Aston Villa fixtures, they of course have Luton at home this week. I do want to still go for him. He can probably stay for another 5 or so game weeks. Then he'll probably be a transfer out. However, with the other defenders you've got in here, if you don't have a transfer to sell Matty Cash, you can just keep him on your bench when the Aston Villa fixtures do get a little bit better later down the line. Then the second one, which is probably the surprise inclusion, is Levi Colwill of Chelsea. Chelsea don't have good fixtures until game week 16, but you do not need him until game week 16. And when that fixture does turn for them, the likes of Cole Palmer, Levi Colwill will be really good assets and be very popular assets in FPL. Starting with Levi Colwill in your team, you have the budget, just means when that fixture does turn in game week 16, you will have him in place. He can just sit on your bench between now and then. Next up is Gahey of Crystal Palace. Not a great fixture this week, but from game week 11 onwards, they have a really nice run where they can rotate in and around some of the other difficult fixtures like Arsenal have next week against Newcastle and a few others for the likes of Tsimikas coming up as well. So again, he allows to rotate. Crystal Palace didn't do well in game week 9 against Newcastle, but I still think they are a top defence for a very cheap price that we can be looking to invest into. I have gone with Gahey over going with a Spurs option just because I prefer the fixtures. If you want a Spurs defender in the likes of your doggy, then it is Gahey that I would probably replace. Fourth in defence, we have gone with Arsenal. Sheffield United at home this week. Then nice fixtures from game week 12 as well. I've gone with Gabriel, the cheapest option, 4.7 million. I do expect him to keep his place in the Arsenal lineup. And finally, Tsimikas. It looks like Robertson is not going to be available and not going to play for Liverpool between now and the end of the year, which gives Tsimikas about a 10, maybe 15 game week period where he is going to be probably first choice. Now, in game week 9, he played 61 minutes. He probably needs to build up a little bit of match fitness. It is a little bit of a concern that he did get taken off early, but I do expect him still to be first choice going into the next few games and until Robertson comes back. He might miss out in a couple, but that could be said with anyone that is playing in Europe and in the Premier League as well. 4.5 million, he's already risen in price once, and I expect him to continue rising in price as one of the most transferred in defenders this game week. Moving into midfield, so Mo Salah is a no-brainer on wildcard. He is definitely in here. The fixtures look great. He's a great captaincy option. The form is there. Definitely owning Mo Salah. Then, of course, we want to have one Spurs option. We've gone with James Maddison just because this team doesn't have the budget to go and afford Heung-min Son. I do prefer Son to Maddison. If you have crazy team value and you want to go Son over Maddison, then great, go and do it. But I don't think the majority of you can afford it. And I think that is the downgrade I'm happy to make. as opposed to elsewhere in my lineup. Then the Arsenal fixtures change, as with Gabriel, we've gone with Bukayo Saka. For me, he is the best Arsenal midfielder. Martinelli, Trossard rotating on that left-hand side still concerns me. Up front, Gabriel Jesus versus Nketiah for minutes, again, is too much of a concern to go there. Odegaard is a good option. However, when Kai Havertz plays alongside him, it does reduce his appeal a little bit. So for me, Bukayo Saka at 8.5 million again, having risen at the start of the season and now fallen again, is the option that I'd be going with. The final two in midfield is Jarrod Bowen. He scored, quite fortunate to score in game week 9, but we all own him. Going into game week 10, the fixtures look great. For me, he is so good. One of the best options. I almost said essential there. I don't think he's quite essential, but looking at the West Ham fixtures, I really wouldn't want to go without him. And finally, the cheap option we've gone with is Anthony Gordon. It's Gordon. You could also go and add Neto or Hwang Hee-chan in there, or even Cole Palmer. However, Palmer's fixtures are not that good, so I have gone with Gordon. The Wolves options I also like. However, Gordon does play for a team that I expect to score many more goals than Wolves, which is why I favoured going with him. Then up front, it is Erling Haaland and it is Ollie Watkins. I am still favouring. If I had to pick any of these drafts, we will talk about a draft without Haaland and a draft with Trippier in as well. I would pick this one if I was wildcarding this week. That is just me. I really like what this draft has. A lot of balance, a nice bit of squad depth, a good sort of variety of teams with great fixtures coming up. And I do think it allows you to keep Erling Haaland as well. And Archer is the cheap one. He is still starting for Sheffield United. He is in there. Watkins looks so good. No player in FPL since Unai Emery has taken over has more returns than him, apart from Mo Salah and Erling Haaland, who are also in this draft. This is the basis draft, but we do have a couple of little changes to talk about in Kieran Trippier and dropping Erling Haaland. So the first draft that we've got here is the Kieran Trippier draft. So Kieran Trippier does come in for Levi Colwill, and then we downgrade Gahey all the way to Taylor, and we have to make some changes in midfield as well. So we don't go with James Maddison, and we go and put Matoma in there, and we don't go with Anthony Gordon. We downgrade him to Cole Palmer. So those two downgrades plus the downgrade in defense allows you the money to go and get Kieran Trippier in here. The issue, I suppose, with this draft is you do have to play Cole Palmer pretty much every week. You might have a little bit of budget that could allow you to go up to Hwang Hee-chan or Pedro Neto, but with the amount of team value I think most people have, I don't think you'd be allowed to go and do that. I do like this draft, and if you are set on getting Kieran Trippier, I think Matoma and Cole Palmer are great enablers to allow you to go and do that. Tsimikas, Gabriel, Cash are really good options to rotate in your defense as well. I do really like it. Turner, Areola, set and forget in goal. Haaland, Watkins, you've got Bowen, you've got Salah, you've got Bukayo Saka. The only issue is, of course, you've got no Spurs attack. And finally, what would I do if I was going to sell Erling Haaland? So, of course, Erling Haaland would go, and I definitely would go and buy Julian Alvarez. Alvarez would definitely come in, as I do still want a piece of that Manchester City attack. What it allows you to do in midfield is it allows you to go and upgrade Gordon all the way up to Heung-min Son. So you then have Son and Maddison in there. It also allows you to go and get Kieran Trippier into your defense. And you also have the ability to go and get Leno in goal, who rotates really, really well with Areola. You are then set on captaining Son and Salah every week, maybe Bukayo Saka as well for some of the upcoming fixtures. There are decent captaincy shouts every week as opposed to Haaland, so you do have a pretty strong squad if you do decide to sell him. Personally, it's not for me, but I know a lot of you are considering it, so here is what a draft would look like if I was going to go and sell him this week. If it was me, I'd probably go with a draft that looks like this, that does include Erling Haaland. But if you're on Wildcard this week, or even if you're not, let me know which team would you go with. Would you go with Team 1, which is the basic team? Would you go with Team 2, which is the Kieran Trippier team? Or Team 3, which is the no Erling Haaland team? Let me know what you would do in the comments. Any questions you have about your wildcard or about your team in general, drop it in the comments down below. As always, I answer every comment made in the first 30 minutes of every video. So if you're subscribed, turn on those notifications as well. And I do my best to reply to as many other questions left on my videos as well. Thank you all so much for watching. 1,000 likes on the video is always the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here, and I'll be back again very soon.